Hello everyone, welcome to this Pickfair video. My name is Murray Livingston. I'm a professional black and white landscape and nature photographer from South Africa. Today I'm going to be showing you how to get powerful black and white conversions using Lightroom and Photoshop. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Hope you enjoy the video. Here's one of my images from up in Tardin in Scotland, and it's going to be my example today for how we can create powerful black and white conversions. The first key, I would say, to getting a powerful black and white conversion is to actually understand color and to recognize contrasting colors in the landscape when you're out on location. So here we've got this beautiful rusty colored heather in winter set against a bright blue sky. So this is something that I'm going to be able to manipulate with the black and white mixer panel in Lightroom and Photoshop. Jumping over into the develop module, this is what you get when you just do a straight black and white conversion. V is the shortcut on the keyboard, or you can come and click black and white here at the top. And it's the Adobe monochrome profile. There are a few others. If you go to browse and then filter by black and white, and you can scroll down, and some of these might be good for beginners looking for some ideas of where they can take their black and white conversions. I would suggest taking a look at these bottom 5 with the colors. Maybe a red filter is quite fun sometimes. But for me, I'm just going to stick with the plain Adobe monochrome black and white conversion. And then I have done some basic adjustments here because I want to get to the meat and potatoes of black and white conversion in Lightroom and Photoshop, which is this black and white mixer. So how this panel works is each of these sliders will affect a color and change the resulting tonality when it's converted to black and white. So if I use this little circle here and click on that, it's actually going to show us which color we're adjusting when we hover over the image. So here in the sky, we know that that's blue, and we can see that the blue is highlighted there in the panel. And likewise down here is oranges and yellows, so we can see as we move around, that's what's being affected. Now we can start to think about the creative side of things. How do we want to positively impact this image? For me, I wanted to draw more attention to the sandstone structures and the mountain rather than leading everything up and sort of out of the top of the image. So I want to create a bit more drama in the sky, especially around the cloud, get a bit more texture and clarity out of it, and brighten up the overall image and this bottom section of the sandstone mountains. So let's start with the sky, and I'll do blue as we said before. That's going to darken it down nicely. I wouldn't suggest taking any of these sliders beyond, say, maybe 40, occasionally 50, as you're going to start introducing artifacts like halos and potentially banding. So less is more here. Don't go over the top. Can always dodge and burn or use other adjustments if you need to take things further. So here when I adjust the aqua, you can see it's bringing lots of nice texture into the clouds here. It's sort of that intermediate color between the dark blue sky and transitioning to white. We get that aqua tonality. So bringing that down is, that's looking really nice. And then the sky is looking great, but as I said before, I need to brighten up this mountain a bit. And so to do that, I'm going to bring up the orange and the yellows. And that's starting to look really, really powerful and impactful. So if I turn this off from before to after, we can really start to see how this has created a dramatic and powerful black and white conversion. So taking that same technique over into Photoshop, we now have masking, which means that we can be a little bit more selective, which 99.5% of the time I don't really need to be. The Lightroom module will do pretty much everything. So this is more of an intermediate or advanced technique to bring it over into Photoshop. What we need to do is start with a color image and then add a black and white adjustment layer. The black and white mixer adjustment can be found here in the adjustments panel. It's that one right in the middle with the black and the white side. Or if you select your original background, you can go to image adjustments and down to black and white. So if we double click, we can see it brings up essentially the same sliders as the Lightroom module. And we can basically adjust these in a very similar way and start to get a really nice effect. The difference being that I can now introduce a gradient filter perhaps. So these shadows here on the left hand side of the image, if I switch over, these are actually really blue because they're reflecting the sky, the light from the sky above. So perhaps I don't want my black and white adjustment to darken those shadows. I only want it to affect the sky. So this effect is global, of course. It's adjusting the whole image. But what's great in Photoshop is that you have access to masks. So if I go over here to the gradient tool, G is the shortcut, and then I set a black and a white in my color picker, I can drag a mask over this, which is now looking quite funky. But if I add another black and white conversion layer, this is now, this first layer is a targeted black and white adjustment. So basically, it's only affecting the sky and not affecting perhaps these blues in the mountain as much. So in that way, we can be a little bit more targeted. And as I said, it's a slightly more advanced technique, but at the end of the day, it's achieving a very similar result to Lightroom. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you have learned something about the black and white conversion process. And I would like to just reiterate that really understand color and look out for contrasting colors when you're out in the landscape. 99.9% of the time, do everything in Lightroom. That's going to get you to where you need to be. And then with those black and white sliders, really less is more. I tend to try and not go over 30 points because in most cases you will start to introduce artifacts. So I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, please like and leave a comment down below and consider subscribing to the Pickfair YouTube channel. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.